Google dropped the first developer preview of Android 12 for our Pixel line of devices today. So I installed it on my Pixel 4a, and let's go ahead and check it out and do a quick hands-on. This is TK, and this is XDA TV. Now, to get this installed and running on your device, there's going to be an article in the description below on where to be able to download the actual build for your Pixel device, and of course also how to be able to install it. It does require you to unlock your bootloader, which by default will wipe your entire device, so make sure you back up all your information. My recommendation at this point, being that this is a developer preview, I would not necessarily have to worry about actually installing it. We can look at some of the new UI elements that we have in here, and there'll be a link in the description below to some of the other articles we posted on the portal, talking about the actual under the hood revamps or updates that we're seeing from Google with Android 12, at least with the developer preview one. With that being said, the UI element is actually very similar to what we've seen before. One thing I'll probably say is that the styles and wallpapers, widget, and home settings are actually inverted a little bit. So styles and wallpapers is sitting at the top as opposed to being at the bottom. You're able to jump in straight into the actual setup, customize them. There seems to be actually a new option here, a 4x5 for the grid size, which we didn't have before. Wallpaper seems to be the same thing, and of course styles are just about the same. The one thing I would mention here is I have a custom one sitting on the Pixel 5, and that's the reason why it looks like I have more. But other than that, I think the overall aesthetics are pretty much very similar. We'll open up the notification shade, and we'll notice that the actual icons look very similar to what we've seen in the past. The one big difference here is that we see Android 11 as opposed to Android S, the code name that we have for Android 12. The music player widget also looks like a little bit different. As you'll notice, it's a little bit more rounded on the left. We still have the ability of basically interacting with it, and of course selecting the different option of audio, meaning either pairing a new Bluetooth headset, or if we have one connected, or using the speaker on the phone, and of course controlling the volume. So that part of the system didn't really change much. When we start looking at the aggregation of messages, we'll notice there's one new interesting option. You'll notice it right there. I have it open. Now we have the ability of expanding and minimizing notifications, but we now also have the ability of snoozing them, either by swiping to the right and selecting the snooze option, or by just selecting it right there, which is also a very nice option. So very easy, very in-your-face interface. The usability of the search bar at the bottom is pretty much the same, although I will say that the Google Assistant looks a little bit different. As you notice, it sits ever so nicely on the bottom, as opposed to opening up a card on the bottom right here. Also, the responses are very interesting. And what we'll notice essentially is that this opens up in more of a card style UI, and you notice the assistant is still listening, as opposed to what we have here as a full-size card. Now, swiping from the left still gives us access to that, and of course the app drawer works the same. Swiping down opens it up. Those things didn't really change much. We do have a new toggle that's present in the actual toggle options at the top, and that's actually called adjusting or reduce bright colors. So that enables us to actually control the brightness of certain colors in here, and it actually does kind of reduce the brightness of the display. Now you can customize it to whatever you like, and of course you can turn it on and off from the toggle or directly within the settings, but this is definitely something nice and new that we have built in to Android 12. We're not sure obviously if this is going to be part of Android, the final release, but it is definitely something that's present there. Jumping into the settings tab, we'll notice that the UI elements are slightly different. The search bar is a little bit more rounded, present on the top, with obviously a little bit bigger, very profile icon, as opposed to what we have it currently here. And of course, we have the ability of looking at the different aggregate categories. There is a new category here called the safety and emergency, which aggregates the emergency and safety contact information in here. So it's a little bit more organized and easier to use. Under accessibility, we're also actually looking at a little bit of a different organization. And what I mean by this, if I swipe down to the bottom, you'll notice that the list here on the Pixel 5 is a lot longer. And that's mostly because of the aggregation of categories. So basically, caption preferences, now it's actually present there. Live caption, obviously we have them in there. But if we jump into system controls, so navigations are present in there, tap assistant, all of those things that we just normally have them more opened up are actually all present in here and just aggregated in a slightly more organized form. One of the other options that we want to mention to you guys is that there is actually a separate UI element for the settings tab, and it's something that they're calling Silky Home. Now, this enables it to be a little bit more one-handed friendly, so the entire interface shifts down, and you'll notice that the selection options that we have right now are a little bit more rounded, and of course the UI element is not exactly as smooth as what we have right now. So it's an early developer preview, and of course we're starting to look into it, so potentially a new UI element for our settings tab. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the editor, the image editor that we have in here. There is going to be basically the scrolling edit that's going to be available in there, although not available on my Pixel 4a yet. We'll notice there's a few more options available for us, the ability of basically editing our pictures. So editing them, the undo options are present now at the top as opposed to being present on the bottom. We still have the ability of annotating and of course erasing, but now we also have emojis and of course the text editor that gives us access to be able to edit our images. And of course sharing them whenever you're ready, or either deleting it if you're not. So these are some of the main differences that we notice right now. One thing as far as the timeline, Google did announce that this is going to be part of one of 3 developer previews. So today was the first developer preview, and in May we're going to transition over to the beta release. So that's the public beta. And that'll be available from May through August, providing us basically 4 betas. And then at the end, around basically after that, we'll be able to see a full release, hopefully around the time the Pixel 6 is released. It goes without saying that there's a lot more things that changed with the Android Developer Preview 1 here that are more under the hood. So I'll give you guys a link in the description below to a couple of articles posted on the XDA portal. The first one will talk about basically how to be able to download the actual developer preview build for your Pixel supported device. Of course, I don't recommend you installing it on your daily driver if you happen to have an extra device. That's basically what I would recommend. I installed it on the Pixel 4a. The other article will also talk about some of the new features that we were able to discover, either graphical UIs or even under the hood, so you guys can stay up to date with all the information or the latest information on Android 12 Developer Preview 1. Let me know again, what do you guys think of the Developer Preview 1? Is this obviously something that excites you? Would you like to see more coverage from us here on the XDA channel, covering all of the other developer previews, and of course, as well as the beta releases of Android 12? Like and subscribe as usual. Make sure to check out my channel. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next one.